working with graphics frames in InDesign. So let's place some graphics into InDesign and talk about how we can manipulate those graphics. So graphics basically are defined as any element on the page that is not text. So I'm going to put a graphic inside this container, which basically is a rectangle that I drew. Now our graphics actually can be both bitmap or vector. So bitmap meaning that they are images that consist of pixels, and vector graphics meaning that they are these geometrical defined paths and curves that make up shapes. So we can put either one of those two into InDesign. So two methods for placing graphics in. First of all, I can have my container selected, which I did with my selection tool. Go to the File menu and to Place. Navigate to the folder where I want to find my graphic, and in this case I'm going to choose this picture. Click Open. And what will happen is your graphic will fall into that frame and it may not all fit. We'll talk about fitting in a moment. So that's one method. I'm going to Control Z to undo, and I'm going to do it a different way. So this time I'm going to deselect, so nothing is selected. And this time, again, go to File and Place and choose my same graphic and click Open. Now I get the loaded cursor, or what we call the loaded graphics icon. And so this allows me now to click in a frame that is not selected. So when I click on this frame, it then defines it as this is the container where the graphic will go, and there it is. So the difference between now selecting my graphic and selecting the frame. So the frame is my container, or the window through which I see the placed graphic. So if I use my selection tool, I'm able to select this graphic, and you can see I can adjust it, which I'm adjusting the frame. That's with the selection tool. With the direct selection tool, I'm able to directly select what's inside of the frame or my graphic. And when I do that, I see a bounding box. In this case, it's yellow, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but that indicates where my picture is. So I can reference either the frame, or I can, play with the graphic inside. And as I move now, you can see that I'm moving the image inside of this frame. Now when I look at my transform panel, let's bring up my transform panel under Window, Object and Layout, and Transform. So a couple of key indicators if you're wanting to do specific transformations or changing, X, Y locations, width, height, that kind of thing. Whether it's going to be on that frame or if you have the graphic selected. So whenever you have the graphic selected, what's inside, the little plus sign appears after my X and Y. So that plus sign here in the transform panel, I also see it up here in the control panel. I see a plus sign. That is telling me that if I change my XY location at this point, it's going to change that XY location for my graphic. And I have the center point of reference selected, so that's where you see that amount. If I click on this top corner, that will give me a different indicator. Now if I have my selection tool, I'm going to click out to deselect everything and click only on the frame itself. Now you see the little plus has gone away. I don't have that plus sign after my X and Y. That tells me then that my graphic box or my frame is now selected. There are other ways that I can select my graphics as well, and you have to be really careful and just pay attention to what is selected. And you can obviously visually see that my frame is selected right now, and when I have my content, I see another type of a bounding box. So if I double click the image, I can actually toggle back and forth. You see now I'm actually selecting my content, and now it's my frame. Double click, it's my content. double click, it's my frame. So double clicking the image will toggle between the frame and the graphic being selected.